Images play a key part when you're selling online, and this is especially true when you're selling on Amazon. So let's talk about what kind of things you need to consider when you're selling on Amazon. So what things you need to have in the product listing images. Hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so let's talk about images on Amazon. So pretty much like the product listing images, and that is one of the key things that we have to get right when we are selling online. Because online, I mean, we are not selling the actual products because people cannot touch the products. People cannot, I mean, see the products from different angles. So they are pretty much, yeah, we have to demonstrate everything from images. And I would say that, okay, the main driving factor in terms of sale is definitely price. Because, I mean, if the price is not something, then something that the customer is willing to pay, I mean, there's no chance of making the sale. But apart from price, then the second one will actually be the images. And there's two sets of images that we have to get right. So first of all, I mean, the product listing images, I mean, the images that we have on the actual product listing, but then also the smaller thumbnail images. And that's how we should always like approach our listing and our main image. That, okay, we see these images, I mean, we see these tiny thumbnails. So how can we actually stand out from the crowd? So, and actually one thing, one really important thing to understand about images and online sales is that it's not, there's no such thing is that, okay, this certain the way works in every possible scenario. I mean, that's just not likely, because there's just so many different things that can impact the current, I mean, the situation, meaning that everything depends on the context. So that's why it's more important that we actually have this approach that, hey, I mean, let's just do an experiment and then let's just try this thing out and see, let the data show us that, okay, fine, I mean, are the metrics going better or worse? So that's one thing to always keep in mind. So if someone is telling you that you have to have these and these and these and these things on your images and product listing, then, I mean, that's not very smart advice, because the first thing is to always look on the context, on the situation, because in many cases we have had situations where things, I mean, the listing is actually breaking the standards that are being seen, that, okay, we have certain expectations that we have to do this in order to have a good image. But when we have actually done the opposite thing, I mean, we have still seen good results. And if something works, I mean, we should let it do the work instead of trying to fix it. So, I mean, if it works, don't fix it, right? But yeah, so let's talk about main images and strategies to maximize this main image effectiveness, and then also converting these, I mean, having these different kinds of images, for example, lifestyle images. But the key thing here is that it's all about like showing more like real case. So nobody likes stock photos. Nobody likes these like fake photos or marketing photos. Like, people usually like something that actually shows that they feel that they can trust. And typically, if we see an ad, I mean, we might be thinking that, well, I mean, is this really true, or are they actually exaggerating? And we have been so used to ads and that pretty much exaggerate things. So I mean, by default, a lot of time we are thinking that yeah, it's probably not true. I mean, it's just exaggerating and things like that. So that's something that we have to like take into consideration and make the extra effort that we don't want to look like ads. And so this is actually important that when we are doing like paid advertising, we don't want our ads, for example, when you're doing outside of Amazon, you don't want those advertisements to actually look like ads. So yeah, I mean, background more white, and kind of like professional photograph. It doesn't mean that it has to be taken by a certain photographer or whatever, or professional. It just means that it has to be clearly visible. And the one rule on Amazon is that show only the available items for sale, meaning that what I see here is the thing that I need to be receiving in the mail actually when I order the product. And typically the rules are that you are not allowed to add any kinds of text or drawings or illustrations or whatever in these main images. But what if we want to have certain kind of text, then I mean, how can we do that? We can actually make those text like part of the physical product. So it's actually something that the customer receives. So that's like an easy way to work around these rules, that when we are not allowed to like advertise certain things or add any kind of text or keywords over these things, then we are still able to do that by adding these items in the actual like physical product. And one thing is that I mean, the key thing really is always that it depends on what your competition is doing, because if the competition is doing all the same thing, then that basically the certain kind of like best strategies and recommended strategies do, then I mean, then obviously we cannot use it, because we want to stand out from the crowd. We want to look like a better option there. So this is why it's so important to understand that everything is context dependent, and everything comes down to like experimenting and testing to see, I mean, do things go better or worse. But yeah, so one way is that, I mean, we just basically saw all the content there. So I mean, people need to know what exactly they are looking for. And online today, we have the attention span of just a few seconds. And people are too busy living their lives. They don't have and especially like when you consider how majority of the consumers here in the US like order products from Amazon. I mean, they take their phone on their hand and then just search for something and then see the different options there, and then boom, they can just click the buy button even without adding to the cart, and they just confirm it and boom, it's done. I mean, that was pretty much the whole like buying process. So that means that we have to make the extra effort to really make things super clear for people. So if we confuse, if we create any kind of friction or that, then usually we're going to be losing the customer. So we are not going to be losing the sale. So we want to give the clarity and the buying confidence. And here's the thing that I don't like, that I mean, using some kind of like stock photos and models, and it's especially bad if it really looks like Photoshop. But I mean, this one isn't Photoshop, but it comes down to the point that what kind of visuals people actually like to see on the listing. But here we can also say that, I mean, it might work for some products, but products it will not work. So it comes down to testing, and see that what works. And if something works, even if it's against the rules, then we should let it run instead of trying to fix it. But yeah, I mean, it's super important that customers understand what they're actually buying. So, and the thing is that we have to showcase the product in the way that it's supposed to be used. So, real life scenarios. And then, I mean, packaging is a great way to stand out. So we want to highlight it in the images. And I know that we are talking about, like, for example, just launching test products and so on. But I mean, especially like if you've been doing it, if you've already been selling on Amazon for quite some time, then I mean, why don't you already have this kind of like packaging, like simple packaging, generic packaging that you can use for all your products that are same size? So that means that you don't need to put additional effort into like like creating a design for the package and customize the packaging and that kind of stuff, because you can use the same packaging for all all your products in this testing phase, which means that even when you're not putting that much effort into it, I mean, it still looks great. You can still do things, I mean, that really like stand out, and it looks like great design and those kind of things. So the main thing is to really minimize the effort when we are testing our products. And one way to, but at the same time, I mean, we want to stand out from the crowd and have kind of like impressive packaging, and packaging has such a big impact on the buying. I mean, on the experience. Like, I mean, everyone knows what it's like to receive a product that has this impressive packaging. It feels like, wow, I mean, this just looks so cool, and it's like, okay, you have the packaging, but you don't want to throw it away. And you see this especially with different kind of premium products, and of course, I mean, Apple is famous for always putting a lot of like effort into their packaging and this kind of experience when you unpack it, so it actually looks good. So even though when we are not selling premium like priced products, we can still adopt the same kind of approach for our like our own products, even if we are just selling like a product that costs like $20 or whatnot. So yeah, so we want to have impressive packaging, and we want to showcase it in these images. But the key thing is that, especially when we are testing out products, we don't want to put a lot of effort into these products. So a nice workaround for that is to do this more like generic packaging that you can use for many of the products. That's a cool strategy that we have been using, and it works really well. Yes. So, and then, I mean, we can develop images that pretty much like present their product in such a way that it just looks stunning. But here the key thing is that it doesn't like exaggerate too much, or it does, it's not misleading the customers in any way. But here we also can add text to highlight the product features presented in a creative way. And then we want to, I mean, show these products in action. And here, I mean, comes the same thing that I am already mentioned, that, I mean, if it just looks like stock photos, or even worse, if it looks like Photoshop photos, then okay, sure, I mean, it's better than nothing, but it still can irritate customers, or it can have this negative impact on our sales. So And if you think about a product like dog leash, then what kind of emotional connection do you have with your dog leash? It's probably not, you probably don't spend your days thinking that, oh, I mean, I finally ordered my product list and soon I'm going to be getting it in the mail. And oh my God, when I get my product list, I cannot wait to use it and have great time using my product list. I mean, this is not an emotional product at all. Sure, I mean, you have an emotional connection with your pets and whatnot, but you don't actually spend time in thinking about this product in question. But still, even though there's not actual emotion or not emotions with the actual products, I mean, still we can find ways how to create this emotion through, for example, with just bringing those pets in the picture. And then, I mean, different kinds of lifestyle images. And for example, here, I don't really like, I mean, this still looks like stock photo. And sometimes it works, but I mean, most of the time it doesn't work. But let's say that if you add it and you see like high conversion and whatnot, then sure, I mean, why not keep using it? But the thing is that we have to showcase the products in real life. And if the product is this like anti-slipping mat, so I mean, we are not just demonstrating the mat, and here it's like if you just saw the mat, I mean, itself, then it has zero emotion. It has zero like excitement about like how it will look, how your life will change when you actually use this product. So here, instead, we can see that, okay, fine. So we are coming from the top or whatever, and then we have the anti-slipping mat there. Then okay, this scenario here where you take your child and you dry and so on, then it immediately, I mean, removes this anxiety of slipping through the bathroom floor and whatnot. So the point is just to add this emotion. And then one thing that works really nicely is that, well, this really depends on the product, but especially if it's about durability. And nowadays, I mean, you can already see with, for example, with products that are related with your phone, like the screen protector or whatever. I mean, this market is already saturated with these kind of images where you're basically just trying to damage the screen with a hammer or whatever. And that's when we are looking to buy a screen protector, we already are expecting to see these images that, okay, I mean, there's one image showing that it has some kind of durability factor or whatever. Maybe there's a hammer, maybe there's a knife, maybe there's nails and such kind of things. And the thing is that, okay, if you would be selling these screen protectors, and okay, we can see that everyone is doing this thing about durability, then how can we actually demonstrate the same scenario in such a way that it would actually stand out from all of the crowd? And one way would be that, okay, instead of having hammer there, we would have some kind of a like weird element dropping on the phone or whatever. That would immediately like catch my attention. Like, what is that? Like, because you see something that you do not expect to see in that context. So yeah, I mean, typically customers love to see what happens in these worst case scenarios. And if you have a backpack, then and you do any kind of hiking or whatever, then obviously you need to consider like rain. And what happens when it rains? Like, is your bag going to be getting wet and all the inside is like completely wet as well? And same thing here, that okay, if we have a product that is like vacuum cleaner, then it should just demonstrate that what kind of impact does it have on our like day-to-day life. So we have kids, we have pets, we need to be like cleaning up our laptop and whatnot. Well, yeah, so let's talk about mistakes to avoid and taking pictures yourself, like low quality and poorly photographed images. But the thing is that we always, we don't want to get do perfection immediately, because speed matters first. So especially if you are doing the test product, I mean, we just get it up and running as quickly as possible with as low budget as possible as well. So if you spend like $1,000 in getting images, then it really makes no sense. Nowadays, it's just important that we do things as effectively as possible, so we can already do the photographs in China if we are sourcing from China and so on, and then get things as quickly as things done as quickly as possible. And yeah, I mean, repetition, that doesn't really make any sense. That why would we have multiple photos with the same intention? Because that's just waste of space. And when we have limited space available, we should really make the use of maximizing and having the like maximum impact. So include these images of the product listing in use and highlighting these features and benefits moreover, and so it also in the packaging and so on. And this is actually a really common issue on Amazon and well, I mean online as well, because people don't realize these dimensions. So and I mean, just think about this from the customer's perspective, because like we just like discussed before, that typically, I mean, people are busy living their lives, and if the buying experience is that, okay, you get an idea for something and you just start browsing and boom, you just bought the product. And so if you're talking about like 1 minute, maybe even like 30-second process, then obviously it means that people are not spending a lot of time in reading and checking out the dimensions. And we have had multiple cases where even though we clearly saw on the listing that this is certain size, and we saw it in inches, we saw it in centimeters, and we like write clearly in the product listing, people still, I mean, order it and then give a 1-star review because it's much smaller than I expected. Yeah, so the reality is that even we can either start complaining about it or we can just adapt. So we just have to assume that people don't read, people don't have time to like even go through the listings. So people are too busy living their lives. So we just need to make it super clear that already from the main image, you should understand that what is the purpose and what is like the actual size of the product. And yeah, I mean, this is a good point that if it's smaller than a nickel, then show it lying next to a nickel. So something that clearly demonstrates the size of the product.
If you like this topic, then hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And we actually have a close secret group where we're discussing all these topics. So if you want to join the group, then just comment group and we will add you there. See you there.